I'm still going to take Hurts. Purdy, when Samuel and Trent Williams are out, they only averaged 17 points a game, and they lost 3 playoff games. Prescott, although it wasn't his fault on Sunday in Buffalo, wasn't exactly great. And Hurts threw 2 bad interceptions the other day. The first one should have been a pass interference in Seattle, but that was a bad play at the end. He looked a little healthier running the ball. He got to a Super Bowl last year. I love his toughness and all that. I will still say Hurts. Not as confident as I would say 2 or 3 weeks ago. But again, I know Purdy's had a tremendous year. These Joe Montana comparisons, we'll get to that a little later on, to me is a little overreaching. And Prescott, I know they're 3-4 on the road, and they've beaten garbage all year long. Carolina, the Giants, Washington, the Chargers. Cowboys don't have a big win except for Philadelphia at home. So I'm going to say Hurts, won in Kansas City. Obviously, did a good job there last year, got to a Super Bowl. I understand he's been banged up, and I understand the Eagles aren't playing very well right now, and I'm a little worried about him at times. He's not as good as he was, but I'm going to take Hurts as the guy that I have the most confidence in the NFC, myself.
Yep, I hear you, Mad Dog, and I feel you. I'm going to take Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott over the totality of the season is the guy that I would have confidence in. I know the Buffalo game puts a stain on it, and obviously everybody likes to go back to the San Francisco game, but I've seen him play phenomenal football, almost at the highest level in the league. And we bring up competition, and that's the thing, but he also beat a Seattle team that we just saw Jalen Hurts and his team lose to. So, Doggy, to me, that kills that argument as far as between him and Jalen Hurts right now. The other thing is this, like, when you think about the Dallas Cowboys and all of these quarterbacks that we're talking about, Brock Purdy obviously is playing the best when it comes to team success. He's playing the best, pushing the ball down the field, QBR, all of that type of stuff. But he's not the first person you think about when you think about the San Francisco 49ers. It's Dak Prescott when you come to the Dallas Cowboys and any level of success to their offense. And I think he's been personally responsible for the success of this offense more than anybody else. So I'm going to go with Dak Prescott in this conversation, even though Brock Purdy is a hard argument and shouldn't be dismissed. But Dak Prescott for me.
Well, you're wrong. You're wrong. No surprise there. You're going up against me. We understand this. You're a former Dallas Cowboy.
You're going with Brock Purdy.
We understand.
It's going to be Brock Purdy.
Okay. Of course it is.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah,
league leader, excuse me, among the league leaders in passing against pressure with 56% completions, 10 TDs. Okay. Let's go through some of these numbers with Brock Purdy, all right? He's number 1 in yards per attempt, leads the NFL. He's number 2 behind Tua in pass yards and completion percentage of 69.8. He's number 1 in TD passes with 29. His passer rating leads the NFL at 119. By the way, that 119, only 2 quarterbacks in NFL history had a higher passer rating than that. That was Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning. Aaron Rodgers did it twice, by the way. He's a bad man, okay? We got to take that into consideration. Then we got to take into consideration his performances against Super Bowl contenders, would be the Cowboys and the Eagles. Both games, he dropped 42 points on them. Both games, he blew them out. He completed 70% of his passes, averaged about 283 yards, 8 touchdowns, not a single interception. Let's throw that out there, okay? This is what we're talking about here right now. In terms of game managers, let's take that into consideration. 62% completions with 10 touchdown passes against only 1 interception on deep passes. What are we talking about here? We look at the San Francisco 49ers. We got them as the best team in football. We understand Christian McCaffrey is an MVP candidate. We know what Debo is. We'll even lament a couple of games how Purdy looked without Trent Williams and Debo in the lineup because they were hurt. But what we can't take away from is when all their horses are there, what this man has been doing. They're clearly the best team in football. He's clearly leading the pack in that regard. You got the greatest wide receiver in the history of football saying that he resembles Joe Montana. Might be going a bit too far, but damn, if it's Jerry Rice, ain't he qualified to give that kind of evaluation? This is the greatest wide receiver in the history of football. And so I'm saying to you, when you take all of that into consideration, combined with the team and the success it's reaped because of his greatness, when we just saw Dak Prescott get beat down and bum rushed in Buffalo, okay, when we saw it happen to him against Purdy in San Francisco, when we saw what happened to Hurts in Philadelphia, by the way, against Purdy, who was hurt during the NFC Championship game, adding fodder to the notion that the San Francisco 49ers are the ones that should have been in the Super Bowl last year instead of the Philadelphia Eagles if they had a quarterback, because no team in history had lost all 4 quarterbacks in one season like they did in Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, Purdy, and then Johnson. There's no question that we got to look at them right now. We got to look at somebody like Purdy when we're asking the specific question about NFC quarterbacks. He's clearly above what you got available.
Question. I got a question.
Sure.
Got a question. Because you make a great argument. Stephen A., who do you think should be the MVP for the San Francisco 49ers? What player on that team you think should be the MVP of the league?
Me personally, I would say Christian McCaffrey. Me personally.
And also when we start talking about the San Francisco 49ers, and Brock Purdy is obviously creeping into that, where is he on your list of individual players that affects the game more than anybody else on that team?
You know
I know
what?
he plays quarterback.
Let me answer. I would say normally I would tell you, I would say Christian McCaffrey, Debo, and Kyle Shanahan's play calling. Here's the problem.
Right.
I saw what they look like without him. When Brock Purdy ain't in the lineup, San Francisco don't look the same. That's why he's an MVP candidate. Yeah. Despite the success that Kyle Shanahan has had with numerous quarterbacks, none of them, not Lance, not Garoppolo, not Mullins, not Johnson, not anybody, nobody in Kyle Shanahan's era in San Francisco has looked like Brock Purdy. Am I lying?
For some reason, Steve's not doing the math right. Three of the games this year, no Williams, no Samuel. They lost all 3 games, and they averaged 17 points a game. Now, hold on now.
He also completed 70% of his passes twice.
Steven!
You said I got my math wrong.
I am not finished.
Let Mad Dog talk. We let you talk.
Is supposed to raise the level of his team when there are injuries and tough moments. He didn't have 2 of his players. They lost at Minnesota, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. And as far as you're concerned, Swagu, the Cowboys are 3-4 on the road. They've won 1 good game all year, and that was the Eagles at home. Other than that, they have played garbage. Yep. Carolina, Washington, Giants twice, San Diego. They have beaten the Chargers. They have beaten nobody. And Hurts won in Kansas City and got to a Super Bowl last year, and you guys want to
don't bring up last year. Don't do that. Don't bring up last year. We're talking about this season. And let me tell you something, Doggy. Doggy got that smirk on his face because he know I caught him lying. You know you're in a world of trouble. You brought up the Kansas City game. If Marquez Valdez-Scantling doesn't drop a surefire touchdown pass in his arms, do the Kansas City Chiefs not win that game? Philadelphia should have lost that game. Okay, by the way, Philadelphia's lost 3 straight. By the way, albeit because he's not been healthy, he's been hobbling. Did they lose to the New York Jets? Did it hurt struggle this year as great as we know he can be?
We don't have to go through that. We don't have to go through that. I got a better one. I have a better one. Because Mad Dog killed his argument about Hurts while he was trying to kill mine about Dak Prescott. Mad Dog, just recently, 2 weeks ago, who did Dak Prescott beat?
They split. They went 1-1. Well, all right, they beat the Eagles.
I did not ask you that. I asked you 2 weeks ago, who did Dak Prescott beat?
He beat Philly. Beat the Philly defense.
Okay. After that game, who did he beat?
Prescott, after they beat Philly, they got
before that game, who did he beat? Before that game, who did he beat? The Seattle Seahawks, right?
Yes, he did. November 30th.
With Geno Smith, who is the starter. All right.
Correct.
So you just sat on television and told me that you're going to take Jalen right now, because we're not talking about the Super Bowl. I think me and Stephen A have established that. You just said that you're going to take Jalen Hurts over the quarterback that just beat him 2 weeks ago and just lost to the team that Dak beat before they played Philly.
Well, hold on now. Philly was in Seattle. Seattle played at Dallas. There's a big difference. Dak Prescott's got 3 wins on the road. He got ambushed in San Francisco. He got annihilated in Buffalo.
So why would you bring up the first game against Philly, which was in Philly, that Dallas lost? Why does that apply to Philly going to damn Seattle and it don't apply to Dallas going to have to play Philly at home?
Dallas and
why
Philly
we
is
saying that?
Marcus, Dallas and Philly are a wash. They both won in each stadium. You can't use the one in Dallas and not talk about the one in Philly and Seattle. You don't think Seattle's
Man,
a little
no,
different at home?
you used it. You just used it. I'm saying this because of what you said.
Who have they beaten this year? Let's do Prescott for a minute. Who is Prescott
Philly
beaten this year? Give me a
Seattle.
good win. Who?
Philly and Seattle. And
Seattle's
just
not
beat
that
the
good.
team that you saying.
Seattle's that good?
Well,
They're
man, though,
7-7.
why you put it in the argument when you was talking about Philly then? Why did you put it in the argument?
One argument, you lost me. No argument. Dallas and Philly split.
Man, dog.
Seattle lost at Dallas. Prescott played great. Philly played in Seattle. Hurts was spotty.
Let me interject.
But
Let me
the
interject.
question is, who do I trust more in a
Go
big
ahead,
game?
Hold it,
And I trust Hurts.
Hold it. You just made an argument against Swagu about the level of competition Dak
did.
Prescott beat. Because we know that most of the teams they beat were mired in last place.
Correct.
Well, let me show you who Brock Purdy has beaten. He's beaten the Rams, okay? He's beaten the Cowboys, okay? He's beaten Jacksonville. He's beaten Tampa.
Dallas
He's
beat the
beaten
Rams.
Seattle. He's beaten Philly. He's beaten Seattle again. So he's beat Dallas, Philly, okay, and the Rams, okay?
Right.
Blew Dallas and Philly out.
Yes, he
Beat
did.
up the Rams, too.
Right.
Beat
Right.
Seattle twice.
Right.
Excuse me. What are you talking about? So, in other words, the level of competition, Dak Prescott, that's what you're holding against him. But you don't want to give credit to Brock Purdy for the competition he's beaten.
Well, how about the 3 games that Purdy didn't have his whole arsenal of offense? How'd they play?
Okay.
How you play?
I'm with you there.
Listen.
I'm with you there,
One
Mad
game.
Dog. I'm with you there.
Excuse me. 2 of those games, he completed 70% of his passes.